So, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as I'd like to welcome you all on behalf of the City of Malibu to the Pacific Coast Highway Quick Build Roundabouts Community Meeting. My name is Nadia Fahum. I am an associate engineer with the city, and I am also the project manager for this project. For tonight's meeting, our goal is to share updates and information regarding the city's ongoing project in an effort to make Pacific Coast Highway safe for all, and to also hear from you on any questions you might have regarding this project. Before we begin, I want to quickly introduce the city team that we have in attendance. Tonight, we have Rob DeBow, the city's Public Works Director. We have our Assistant Public Works Director, Tatiana Holden here, as well as our Deputy Public Works Director, Travis Hart. In attendance, we also have members from our design team, Kimberly Horn. We have Shri Chakravarthi, as well as Sean Hoek. We also have members from CalTrans District 7, Marlon Regisford, Lee Haber, Osama Assad, and quite a few other District 7 members as well. And then, of course, all of you, our community partners. With that, I would like to get started. I want to quickly pass over the mic to our Assistant Public Works Director, Tatiana Holden, for a few words to share. Tatiana?
Thank you, Nadia. Good evening, everyone. I would like to echo Nadia and thank you for taking your time to attend this meeting on this important transportation safety project. The PCH Quick Build Roundabout pilot project is the part of City and CalTrans' ongoing effort to improve safety and traffic flow along Pacific Coast Highway. We all know that PCH is the Malibu's main roadway, used by residents, visitors, cyclists, and pedestrians, and safety of this corridor for all modes of transportation is one of our top priorities. This project is a quick build, and quick build approach allows us to test improvements in a temporary and flexible way so we can evaluate their performance. Tonight's meeting will provide you with the overview of the proposed quick build roundabouts, explain how they fit in our broader PCH safety improvement program, and most importantly, answer the questions you have. Your feedback will help us to help us evaluate this pilot program and reflect the needs and the values of the Malibu community. You'll be hearing from CalTrans and the project manager, our associate engineer Nadia Fahum, and they will talk about the project goals, timeline, and design elements. We will then open meetings to questions and comments. Again, thank you for participation, and together we can make PCH safer and more efficient for residents and everyone who travels through our community. And with that, I'm passing it back to Nadia.
Thank you, Tatiana. I'd now like to introduce Marlon Regisford from CalTrans to provide a few words as well as give a brief presentation to you all.
Thank you, Nadia. Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Marlon Regisford. I am the Deputy District Director for Planning and Local Assistance at CalTrans District 7. So I'll give a brief presentation, as Nadia mentioned, regarding roundabouts from CalTrans purview. We can go to the next slide. All right. Well, previous slide. Yes. Okay. So, why does Caltrans use roundabouts, right? Roundabouts are a key part of Caltrans' statewide safety strategy. They've been proven to reduce the number and severity of collisions, particularly severe injuries and fatal crashes, by eliminating the traditional head-on and high-speed right-angle conflicts that occur at signalized intersections. On top of safety, roundabouts are also an important tool for advancing our complete streets principles. They accommodate for all users, such as drivers, pedestrians, bicyclists, and transit, by slowing down vehicle speeds and also improving overall visibility and predictability, especially for vehicles. Another major benefit for roundabouts is operational efficiency. So roundabouts, they help keep traffic flowing continuously without the need for stoplights, which does in effect reduce delay and also vehicle idling, which in turn lowers fuel consumption and also in turn lowering greenhouse gas emissions, which does support Caltrans and the state's climate and sustainability goals. And as part of our long-term safety program, Caltrans, we're continuing to identify opportunities to implement roundabouts at intersections where it makes sense for safety and mobility to be improved through the design approach. And this is also in line with our federal guidance from Federal Highways Administration. There is a safe systems approach that includes roundabouts as a proven safety countermeasure. Next slide. So, um, as you see here, this is a quick build application, and this is an innovative way for the city of Malibu and also Caltrans to test out intersection safety improvements under real world conditions before any permanent construction takes place on the corridor. And so these temporary installations are modular. They will use modular and flexible materials such as rubber curbs, delineators, thermoplastic striping. So this can be something that is quickly installed, but also have minimal disruption to the community and to roadway users. But also it enables us to make adjustments during the evaluation period. And since these designs require fewer materials and less construction time overall, they're more cost effective and they can be installed within weeks instead of taking months for installation. So this really helps agencies respond faster to any safety concerns that are observed while still following the evidence-based approach that we want to use for analysis. So this pilot installation will be monitored very closely, and we'll be looking at data such as the travel speeds, the traffic operations, and also the overall safety performance. And so these results, they will help us determine whether similar designs are appropriate or for long-term use or for permanent use, of course, along the PCH corridor. We'll go to the next slide. So I did want to share a quick video. We have this video here that Caltrans has put forth that shows how to navigate a roundabout. And I hope those online are able to see this video. We'll go ahead and play it so y'all can check it out. So we want folks to slow down when approaching. That's right. We'll have the road markings for folks to pay attention where they're driving. All right. Thank you. That was a very short video, but I wanted to make sure we share some visual about what we expect and the clues for folks that are driving through a roundabout, what they should be paying attention to. So I hope all were able to see that video. But I just want to conclude our short presentation here by just mentioning that, you know, this project, it does highlight the strong partnership with the city of Malibu. Oh, sorry, we can go on to the next slide. I apologize. Um, this does highlight our strong partnership with the city of Malibu, and we're very appreciative of that. Together, we are working to make PCH, Pacific Coast Highway, safer and more efficient for everyone, not just drivers, but also bicyclists, pedestrians, and other roadway users. Our shared goal is to reduce severe collisions along the corridor. We also want to calm the traffic speeds, but also make this iconic corridor safer without compromising mobility and access for the community. So we have this pilot project at Encinal Canyon and El Matador Beach Boulevard. These two intersections were identified based on safety data, collision history, and also local input. And we're implementing small scale, quick build roundabouts here to test how these designs can slow vehicles down, also improving driver awareness and create safer crossings for people accessing the beach. And these results that hopefully help us understand what works best for the unique coastal environment that we have here in Malibu. And I want to make sure I emphasize again that this quick build roundabout is temporary. We are committed to keeping the public informed about ongoing safety efforts along PCH. And these are pilot projects that are designed to help the city and also Caltrans evaluate safety performance, traffic flow, and driver behavior under real world conditions. After a defined monitoring period, both agencies will review the results and determine whether these treatments should become permanent or if modification is necessary. And that concludes my short presentation here. So I thank you again for the opportunity to share, and I'll pass it back to Nadia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marlon, for that presentation. And we'll give Brandy a moment to pull up the city's presentation, and we'll begin our. Thank you. So we heard from Marlon, who provided a great overview of roundabouts in general and at the state level. But as we're all here today, we're here to talk about the Pacific Coast Highway Quick Build Roundabouts pilot program. Next slide, please. This pilot project was identified in the 2015 Pacific Coast Highway Safety Study that was accepted by the Malibu City Council on June 22nd, 2015 for implementation. This comprehensive study was completed in collaboration between several agencies and organizations, being the City of Malibu, the California Department of Transportation, our LA County Supervisor's Office, Assembly Member's Office, Sheriff's Department, Fire Department, CHP. The study examined road conditions and determined accident patterns. As Marlon had mentioned, a lot of traffic data had been collected, in which the study developed strategies to improve safety on Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu. Now, although the project was recommended in 2015, this project did not begin development until a funding source became available. And with that, I'd like to say that the City of Malibu is extremely grateful to LA County Supervisor Lindsay Horvath and her office for providing funding to the City of Malibu in the amount of $2 million to be utilized on this pilot roundabout project, which is before you today, in an effort to improve safety on PCH. Next slide. Now, as we've mentioned, this is a pilot program. A pilot program is a temporary program to test methods and solutions for its potential to be used on a larger scale. The goal of the pilot program is to assess the feasibility of roundabouts and the acceptability of the roundabout solution on Pacific Coast Highway. The three-step framework for piloting includes that of a pre-pilot, in which we've identified our study solution being the roundabouts. We've identified the goals, which we'll discuss a little bit more, as well as identifying the metrics to measure this project off of. Then it takes us into the pilot in which we will gather feedback, data, as well as track the progress of this project. And then following by a post-pilot phase in which we will analyze our findings, perform a pilot determination, as well as our conclusions to it, which I will also be discussing a little more later on. Next slide, please. We sort of already heard a little bit from Marlon, but I'd like to reiterate why the roundabout solution are versus any other. Roundabouts are one of the best examples as a solution in which it can protect all users of the roadway, being drivers, pedestrians, cyclists, even emergency responders. Roundabouts, I want to provide a few statistics for you. They reduce 35% of all types of collisions. It reduces injury collisions by 75%. It reduces pedestrian-related collisions by 40% and reduces fatal collisions by 90%. With roundabouts, we have enhanced safety, operations, as well as an environmentally friendly solution. How does it make it much safer? Roundabouts are an effective speed management tool. The ability to do so means fewer and less severe collisions, making it much safer for drivers. The use of roundabouts improves visibility for not only the cyclists that may be on the roadway, but the pedestrians as well. With fewer collisions, we have less emergency responses within the area, as well as fewer delays and or types of collisions in which the entire highway would be shut down. With enhanced operations, it serves as a solution that is much more efficient than a standard intersection. With standard intersections, you have 32 different type of conflict points. A roundabout reduces that to 8 type of conflict points. Roundabouts serve as an environmentally friendly solution, as there is far less disturbance to land in comparison to the construction of any other type of solution. And because vehicles are rarely coming to a full stop, it reduces fuel consumption as well as vehicle emissions. Next slide, please, Brandy. For our project limits, the entire project limit from start to finish is approximately 1.2 miles in length. The pilot proposes the construction of 2 quick build roundabouts at the intersection of PCH and El Matador, as well as the intersection of PCH and Encinal Canyon Road, which are designated by the 2 red dots that you see on the exhibit in front of you. Why El Matador was selected is it is a popular high-density tourist spot and public access point in which there is no crossing facility available. You have Encinal that also serves as a major connecting road to other highways within the region. And then it also has La Piedra State Access Point, in which there are also no crossing facilities available in this segment of Pacific Coast Highway. I would also like to add that in this segment of Pacific Coast Highway, you have the highest frequency of vehicles traveling over a rate of 100 miles per hour in a zone where the posted speed is 55 miles per hour. Next slide, please. For our project goals, really what we're looking to accomplish is and emphasize is the safe system approach. We've designed a solution to test, as we mentioned that this is a pilot program, that will reduce vehicle speeds, reduce the likelihood of collisions within the region. We want to manage the speeds to a safe limit that is in alignment with the surrounding land use, the public access points, the residences that you have nearby. We want to improve the visibility of all our other modes of users, the visibility of the cyclists that are within the area, the pedestrians, all of our tourists, and we also want to maintain the emergency response and access that we have. Next slide, please, Brandy. Quickly, I want to touch on the existing corridor configuration. For our project limits, we'll start with PCH and El Matador. For our existing corridor configuration, we have 4 travel lanes, 2 in each direction. We have the two-way left turn center median. The posted speed limit in this segment is 55 miles per hour. And in this segment, you have a no parking zone on both sides of the highway. Next slide, please, Brandy. For existing conditions, I wanted to demonstrate some of the constraints that you see in this region. As I mentioned before, this segment is a no parking zone on both sides of the highway. Yet, as we can see in our figures before us, individuals still park. El Matador, as I mentioned, is a very popular public access point in which the parking lot cannot accommodate the volume of individuals and vehicles that visit. So what happens when that parking lot gets full? You have individuals and tourists who park along the highway in these no parking zones. From the first photo, you can see the stacking of parking. In this case, the stacking of vehicles obstructs the line of sight for anyone who wants to exit El Matador and get back onto Pacific Coast Highway. For the individuals who park on the land side of Pacific Coast Highway, we understand from this scenario that they're running across the highway where vehicles are traveling over 100 miles per hour to visit El Matador. On the below left-hand side, we see the pedestrians that are commonly there. I've demonstrated a photo of the no parking sign. And then to the very right, I want to mention that in September, just a few weeks ago, there was an injury collision at El Matador and Pacific Coast Highway in which a vehicle was exiting, trying to get onto the highway, and they've collided with another motorist. Next slide, please, Brandy. Here is an in-between the intersections of El Matador and Encinal Canyon Road. For the corridor configuration in this segment, again, we have the 4 travel lanes, 2 in each direction. You still have the two-way left turn center median. And again, the posted speed limit within this region remains as 55. And again, you have the no parking for both sides of the highway in this region. But from the photos, as you can see, you have some vehicles still parked along the shoulder. Next slide, please, Brandy. For the intersection of Pacific Coast Highway and Encinal Canyon Road, the corridor configuration at this segment, again, you have the 4 travel lanes, 2 in each direction. Here we see that the two-way left turn center median comes to an end, and now we have a merging lane for those who are exiting and making a left onto Pacific Coast Highway from Encinal Canyon Road. We see from the right-hand side of the image, the two-way left turn center median ends and begins a left turn pocket for anyone who is trying to make a left turn to go up Encinal Canyon Road from Pacific Coast Highway. We also see that there is a right turn pocket to go up Encinal Canyon from Pacific Coast Highway. In this segment, again, the posted speed limit is 55, and it is a no parking zone on both sides of the highway. Next slide, please, Brandy. To begin the discussion of our design, I would like to introduce a member from our Kimley Horn team to take over the design discussion.
Hey, thank you, Nadia. My name is Sean Halk, and I'm with Kimley Horn. I'm going to start with the overview of the entire project in a bit more detail, and then we'll zoom in on the particular intersections and in between. Nadia did a great job showing what the existing conditions are out there, so I'm going to focus in on what it is that we're going to change, modify with this project. So beginning in the top left, which would be on the west side of the project area. Again, have the reference to the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. This would be as they're traveling to westbound on the highway. We will begin with a lane drop, transition from 2 lanes to 1 lane. Shortly after that, we are doing a series of speed drops as we approach the improvements. There'll be warning signs for each of these, but these indicate what the locations, the approximate locations where the speed limits will be newly posted as you approach the intersection. So we will do a speed drop from 55 miles an hour to 40 miles an hour at the end of the lane transition to single lane. Then there'll be a subsequent speed drop to 25 miles an hour. And at that location, that is where we begin modifying speeds to further as vehicles approach the roundabout. And then just past the 25 is the warning sign for roundabouts with the warning speed of 15 miles an hour. As we continue moving west after El Matador Road, the segment in between Encino Canyon and El Matador will be posted at 35 miles an hour. And then again, there would be a roundabout warning sign with a warning speed of 15 miles an hour to approach and navigate the roundabout. And then moving down to the bottom segment, still continuing west, it would be posted back to a 55-mile-an-hour speed. Going in the opposite direction from east to west, working from bottom of the page towards the top, it's the same series of speed drops. So transitioning from 55 to 40 to 25, and then right before the roundabout, again, the warning sign of roundabout ahead with 15 miles an hour warning sign. Then 35 miles an hour in between the 2 roundabouts. And then it would pick back up to the existing speed of 55 miles an hour after drivers exit the roundabout. And the second lanes are added. Next slide. This is the El Matador Beach Road or intersection. One of the constraints as we identify and we do this roundabout and we look at the size and the position of the roundabouts is that we are required to stay within the existing disturbed area, paved area. So all improvements shown are within the existing roadway section. We are not making any improvements for areas outside of the existing pavement. The hashed areas are where we are providing enhanced facilities to redirect traffic. And we're going to accomplish that through both raised conditions as well as striping and enhanced raised pavement markers or reflectors on the pavement and on the curbs. Lighting will be provided at select locations to meet standards for intersections. And then you notice that there is a single pedestrian crossing on the west side of the roundabout. We are providing parking to the west of this intersection on both sides of the highway. And then on the beach side of the highway, just to the east. No parking will be provided on the westbound side east of El Matador. We are providing at the pedestrian crossing, we are what we call rapid flashing beacons. So these will be pedestrian actuated and they will be solar powered. And when a pedestrian comes to the crossing, the pedestrian will press the button and a series of bright flashes will illuminate across the bar between the two signs as shown there. And that draws attention to drivers that a pedestrian is present and intends to cross. Then once the pedestrian makes eye contact or the driver slows and stops in lane, then it is safe for the pedestrian to cross. And the crossing will take place in two segments. So pedestrians will cross one lane at a time. There is sufficient room in between, in the middle of the road, to provide a refuge and verify that drivers do see the pedestrians and they are able to continue crossing. Next slide. This is a typical section and overview of the PCH between El Matador and Encino Canyon. We are continuing one lane in each direction. We are not adding a lane or dropping a lane between the two roundabouts. But what we are doing is we're using that space and we're converting that outside lane to bicycle facilities. And on the bottom of the page, you can see what the cross-section of the roadway will look like. So beginning in the center turn lane remains as it is today, as well as the inside lane, one lane in each direction. The outside lanes will be converted to what we call buffered bike lanes in each direction, and then parking will be provided, 8-foot wide parking will be provided. So this will provide a place for cars to park, open their doors, provide separation for bicycles and traveling vehicles, as well as opening doors, and then also for pedestrians to make their way to the roundabouts to safely cross the highway and access the beach. Next slide. At Encino Canyon, similar design, the similar crossing facility. We are providing a crosswalk on Encino Canyon Road, and then the crossing for Pacific Coast Highway will be on the west side of the roundabout. We are providing access to the driveways. The driveway on the southwest corner, there's two access points there. There's two openings, one prior to the roundabout and then one at the roundabout. And that is designed to be wide enough to allow trash pickup as well as mail and access in and out of the driveways at this location. And again, we're providing the rectangular rapid flashing beacons, crossing one lane at a time, providing a refuge in between lanes. So it's a two-stage crossing and separation between traffic and walking and bicycle facilities. For both roundabouts, and when it comes to bicycle access, we are providing bicycle lanes approaching the roundabouts and on exits. However, the bicycles will be expected to what we call take a lane. And again, with these speeds, it's common for cyclists that are traveling on roadways and facilities such as this, that they're well versed in traveling, comfortable traveling with vehicles. And at these points, bicycles often travel at the same speed, if not higher than cars, as they navigate through these low speed roundabout environments. Next slide. And hand it back to Nadia.
Thank you, Sean, for that design overview. Quickly, I wanted to touch on what our community outreach for this pilot project has consisted of. It's consisted of public notices, public meetings, agency collaborations, as well as our city website project page. Thus far, for the outreach and the public notices specifically, we have mailed approximately 150 notification letters to properties within the region of this project. As of today, only 6 of those letters had been returned as non-deliverable. In addition to those letters, our city media team has aggressively advertised this project and put out news alerts, messaging. It's been within our city manager's updates. For public meetings on September 24th, this project was presented to the City of Malibu Public Works Commission. And today, October 22nd, it is our first community meeting. We have collaborated with California State Parks, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and Fire Department, specifically Fire Station 99, located near Encinal Canyon Road. And located on the city's website is our project page. If you visit www.malibucity.org/roundabouts, on our project page, you'll find a public comment form where you can submit your feedback. And as of today, we had received 17 public responses. To still be done in our community outreach, we will still have a series of letters going out through the course of this project to continue updating those within the project region. We anticipate holding another in-person community meeting regarding this project in November. That date is still to be determined. And once it is determined, that will also be advertised. We anticipate also going to Planning Commission in December of 2025. Next slide, please. For our next steps, we will be going through the permitting project with the CalTrans District 7 team, as well as our own City of Malibu Coastal Development permitting approval. Once we've received our approvals, we will be going into construction, which we anticipate to begin January or February of 2026. We anticipate a construction period of approximately 90 days, with construction being completed around March or April of 2026. Now, again, this is a quick build pilot project. So the materials that we're going to be using, just as easy as it is to construct, it would be just as easy to remove at the end of this project. After construction, we'll begin the pilot duration. The pilot duration is anticipated to be between 12 to 15 months. And within this 12 to 15 months, we will be conducting a series of safety and operational assessments. And I'd also like to note that prior to construction, we will be performing a pre-safety and operational assessments. And then post-construction, we will have the series of safety and operational assessments in which we will be measuring the success of this program and its ability to achieve the goals that we had set out for. With it, we'll be collecting and tracking the data. We will be collaborating with the sheriffs and fire department. We will be collaborating with CHP, our partners at CalTrans. And then also in the safety and operational assessments, we'll be looking to hear from the public as well. After the 12 to 15 months, the pilot roundabouts will be removed, and a pilot determination in which we analyze the findings of the assessment will be conducted, in which we determine if we've been able to effectively achieve the goals through this solution. We would evaluate then a permanent solution. Next slide, please. With that, we're going to begin opening up the forum for questions. Now, prior to starting questions, I'd like to just go over a few housekeeping rules. We'd like to ask that for anyone who has questions, you please raise your hand. Brandy, our incredible senior management analyst, will be going through and unmuting each individual who has their hand raised with a question. We would like to limit each individual for the efficiency of time. We are limited on the amount of time that we have to 2 minutes. And we ask that if you have a question or if there has been a question already answered, you please refrain from repeating the same questions. We do want to get to everyone today. We want to hear from everyone. For those who may have statements, please visit www.malibucity.org/roundabouts to provide that statement that will be noted for the record. I want to stress that we want to hear questions related to this project specifically. Today's meeting is about the Pacific Coast Highway Quick Build Roundabouts at El Matador and Encinal. We are not discussing other projects or other segments of the highway. It is just solely this project. So I think we are ready to begin. If individuals with questions would like to begin raising their hands.
Give me just a few minutes as I get situated here. So Nadia, we have a handful of comments in the chat. Did you want me to read those off first before you begin?
Sure.
Okay, we have Bill here who wrote, you misoriented every map by 180 degrees, meaning if I wanted to orient my computer to the ground a half a mile from your project, I have to turn it upside down. We don't read maps that way. How many streetlights are there at Encinal Canyon PCH today? How many at Encinal? The reason that El Matador is a hazard is that the state of California created a park with no input from Malibu, and in fact tried to harm it. Thanks, Kirk Wallace. Now the state comes in and wants to make it worse, so we cannot evacuate, and our dark skies ordinance will be violated. Is the first set of comments we received from Bill.
Thank you, Bill, for the comments. There was a question regarding the streetlights at Encinal, as well as the number of streetlights at El Matador. Travis, you could go ahead and chime in for this one, our Deputy Public Works Director, but I believe there are none at each of the locations. Travis, would that be correct?
So there is 0 at El Matador. There is 1 at Encinal.
Thank you, Travis. Brandy, could you proceed to the next question?
So our next set of questions come from Kevin Keegan. First question, can Supervisor Horvath's team explain the funding from SD3 and LA Metro for PCH and Malibu, the priority and any relevant history for choosing to earmark the funding for PCH roundabouts? Would you like me to pause there? There's additional questions.
Yes, thank you for that. To address that question, unfortunately, as we all know, on October 17th of 2023, we tragically lost 4 lives on Pacific Coast Highway. After the death of the 4 Pepperdine girls, the supervisor's office reached out and in collaboration with City and Caltrans, wanted to provide funding to the city in order to implement a fast solution that could address safety on Pacific Coast Highway. That solution was the roundabout solution. If we look at projects already initiated on the highway, we see that the east end of Pacific Coast Highway had several projects already initiated and in development, one being the signal synchronization project, which addressed congestion from John Tyler to Topanga Canyon. The west end of Pacific Coast Highway, however, had not had a project in development and had a very severe problem with unsafe speeds. A fast solution to that, to test and implement rapidly, was the roundabout solution and in its quick build nature.
Moving on to the next question from Kevin Keegan. Can Caltrans provide an overview of the related emergency evacuation plan with the loss of lanes in both directions, how emergency vehicles can get through, and expectations for residents?
I believe when Kevin says the loss of lanes, he is referring to the lane drop that maintains between the two roundabouts and as you come out. For the evacuation plan, as I've stated, in our community outreach, we've done agency collaboration that included with the sheriff's department. It is all being worked out in that evacuations can be managed when there is a plan in place, and that involves all the agencies coming together to discuss that plan. So the emergency vehicles will be able to, well, I'm seeing it. Sorry, you're discussing evacuation plans as well as emergency response. So I'll touch on the first. With the evacuation plans, yes, it can be managed. And then to address the second part being the emergency vehicles getting through. Again, these quick build roundabouts are designed in a manner in which emergency response vehicles can mount them if needed. And again, in our collaboration, we've discussed with Fire Station 99. They have not expressed concern regarding their response. In fact, they are in support of this project. So that is that. Brandy, next question, please.
Can Caltrans or the City of Malibu speak to the concerns that new parking along Pacific Coast Highway will lead to an increase in homelessness? For example, is there evidence to support this concern, or is this pilot project formalizing what visitors are already doing parking along PCH in those areas?
Thank you for that question. So a couple points there. With the parking along the provided parking that will be allowable now, we are accommodating the vehicles that are already there on site and allowing and providing the facilities for them to properly cross the highway and reach these access points. Separate from that, we are evaluating overnight parking restrictions to address the overnight campers. And then I will allow for the Deputy Public Works Director or anyone from Caltrans if they wanted to add additional commentary there.
Nadia, I can add couple comments. So one of the things that would probably, and we're considering, is the implementation similar to the Las Tunas area or Corral area or the Zuma Beach area, is the overnight parking restrictions to kind of try to, in an attempt to stop the overnight parking or camping that happens in areas. So the hours would be similar to one side of PCH, say, for instance, the ocean side would be no parking 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. And then the other side would be 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. We have this throughout the city, and it would be done in a similar manner to in an attempt to avoid that overnight parking.
Next question, please, Brandy.
Next set of questions are coming from Annestacia. Hello, Anne here. Why is there in-person meeting? Thank you.
We wanted to hold 2 community meetings regarding the Pacific Coast Highway Quick Build Roundabouts project to provide as much information as possible to the public. And of course, in the event that someone couldn't make our virtual meeting today, we do want to hold a secondary community meeting in the month of November, and that will be held in person. So we just want to bring as much awareness and information as possible to this project, to the public. Next question, please.
Question is from Richard. How many accidents and incidents in PCH?
So I can open up this to our Kimley Horn team if they would like to discuss any data here.
Hey Nadia, this is Shri. Let me pull up that information. Well, maybe we can get to the next question and I'll come back.
Okay. What separates the roundabouts from the homes on PCH? This is from E. Oliver.
Thank you. I can open that also to Kimley Horn. Sean, if you'd like to discuss a little more on the design and how it remains separate.
Yeah, and as I had mentioned, we're not disturbing outside of the existing paved area of the highway, so we're not encroaching further into open space adjacent. So we are staying 100% within the paved area that is there that defines the current roadway.
Thank you. Next question, please, Brandon.
Can I add to that? That's my question, and I don't understand the answer. Is there going to be some kind of barricade between the roundabout and the homes? Or is it just going to be flat and just painted?
It would be flat. There would not be a barricade because the intent here is that as vehicles navigate the roundabout, they would remain within the bounds of the existing roadway.
Okay, and what are the things that look like bricks in the schematic? What is that supposed to be? Is that just grass or is that something you're adding?
So,
And is that raised
Mark,
or is that flat?
that will be raised. Sean, if you would like to touch on that there.
Yeah, that's just a symbolic hatching, but that hatching indicates areas that are raised.
So there's going to be raised areas on the outside of the lanes also, between
Yes.
the lanes and the homes.
Yes.
And what will they look like?
It's right now as it's proposed, it's AC dike and then backfilled with AC with
I don't know
asphalt
what that
concrete
means. What's
with pavement with pavement.
So it's concrete that's going to be between the lanes and the houses.
Yes.
And
Not concrete, but it's paved. It's blacktop, the same pavement that's out there today.
And so
But it's just going to be elevated.
It's going to be elevated. Oh, and what about the houses? What about the driveways to the houses?
There are
It's
gaps.
going to be elevated between?
There are gaps to provide access to the existing driveways.
I apologize to interrupt. We have 2 minutes per person.
How many existing driveways do you figure that you're going to be encroaching upon?
Thank you, Ellen, for your questions. For the mean of efficiency of time and being able to hear from everyone, we do want to get to some additional questions from others who haven't been heard from. So
Yeah,
if
I
you
understand, but
if
I've
you
been
have
living here
additional
25
questions,
years. This is the first we've heard of it. And I find it unconscionable that no one has, we get notices when there are races, when there are bicycle races, when there are people races. We get notices for everything else, but we never got a notice for this until last month.
Agreed. You're more than welcome to contact us outside of this meeting with your specific question, and we will provide an answer to you to your specific questions. We just wanted to have it more talking more about the project than their specific driveway.
Well, I've also had questions about the projects, which thank you for answering.
and yes, Ellen, if you
part of
have
the-
additional questions, if you could please submit them to the chat, and we hope to get to them.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
Hey,
And I would
Nadia.
like to note for everyone that although this project was recommended in 2015, it did not begin development or initiation of this project until May of 2025. So this year, we're talking May of this year, in which we went through an expedited design phase in collaboration with CalTrans and reached a point in which we had plans available to demonstrate to the public, and that is when the notifications then began. So this project had begun in May of 2025 this year. Shri, did you have the data available for the previous question that was asked?
I do. So the question was related to the number of collisions at these locations. So between the two locations, there were a total of 16 collisions, 16 collisions. Normally, the collisions are looked at over a 3-year period or a 5-year period. This 16 collisions are over a 3-year period between October 2021 to September 2024. And that's the latest information that we have available at this point in time.
Thank you. Brand, if you could go to the next question, please.
Yes, so our next question comes from Heidi. If we submitted comment or questions as per requested prior to this meeting, will you be addressing them, or do we need to make remarks now?
So if you had submitted a question prior to this meeting, we will be reaching out to you directly with responses. In addition, if we see it's a question that is being frequently asked, we are going to add that to our project page for the general public to also see. So we will be reaching out to you.
Next statement is from Rosemary Sampson. She just stated bingo on lights. Following Rosemary, we have Anastasia again, and she's still asking about in-person meeting, which I believe you covered. Following Anastasia, we have Richard again, and he was asking about dark sky lights.
Thank you for that question, Richard. Yes, all temporary lighting proposed in accordance with this quick build pilot project will be dark sky compliant.
Following question or statement is coming from E. Oliver again. I don't recall any serious accidents at PCH and Encinal, whereas there have been fatalities at Broad Beach and PCH, Bonsall and PCH.
I'd like to ask Shri, for the collisions data, do we have severity of the collisions?
We do not have the severity of the collisions. We have what the accident information report normally says are crashes and how that compares to the statewide average. So like I said, there were 16 collisions total between these two locations that within a 3-year period, that's quite high.
Thank you. Now, Brandy, could you begin unmuting those who have their hand raised? I see some people have waited quite patiently, so we're going to step away from chat very quickly and go to those who have been waiting with their hands raised.
No problem. In fact, the next question was Ryan, and Ryan's hands raised. So Ryan, if you could unmute yourself.
Sorry, was that for Ryan or Brian with a B? There's two of us in here.
Ryan with an R, please.
Oh, I thought so.
This is not a Brown Act compliant public meeting if you're denying public comment. You're saying submit a question and comment via city website. So I'll take notice and object to that. I think you should change the format. 2 minutes is inadequate. This is a double subject project that you've linked together. Roundabouts, you mentioned were conflict points reduction, but those metrics were for urban roundabouts. you've reduced the number of crossing points from existing Encinal Canyon. You can cross from either leg and corner. And so you're making an additional crossing of a city street as part of this project. So how do these metrics apply to the high-speed PCH 55 mile per hour corridor? And you also referenced Eastern Malibu for where there were 4 deaths as an impetus for this segment project, which I don't see any relationship to that at all. So could you please explain the connection between those two? And I have many other comments. I think that this meeting should continue till everyone has had a chance to say their piece. I have a whole 3 pages of notes here, and I have prepared for this meeting. And how much city money is being spent on this proposal and project on Pacific Coast Highway, which is a state highway. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan, for the comments and questions there. So again, funding for this project, as I had stated earlier in the project, it is fully funded through Los Angeles Metro Measure M funds. Those $2 million were graciously provided from LA County Supervisor Lindsay Horvath's office. How it is connected to the death of the 4 girls is in the overarching goal of PCH safety. As we understand, the death of those 4 girls was a result of unsafe speeding on Pacific Coast Highway, in which a driver traveling at 104 lost control of his vehicle and struck those girls. The purpose of this pilot project was to implement a solution fast on Pacific Coast Highway in which we could address the unsafe conditions. And the west end of Pacific Coast Highway is experiencing such. We have pedestrians, cyclists, tourists, residences within this region of Pacific Coast Highway in which you have excessive speeds. And so the roundabouts, and not only providing accessibility to the highway to all of our modes of users on the highway, it's also to improve the safety in this region to achieve the overarching goal of safety on Pacific Coast Highway. Brandy, if you could go to the next individual with their hand raised.
Yes. So we have Brian with a B. Brian, would you please unmute yourself?
Hello. I have some questions. I wrote them in the chat before I realized we'd also be talking to people with voice. So either you can read them out or I can read them to you, or how do you want to do it?
If you would like to ask your questions, that'll be fine. I'll make a note
Okay.
not to read them out loud.
Okay. My first one is, how will this improve the safety by inviting more cyclists and pedestrians and motorists to use 1 lane instead of 2? Do you want to answer first, or should I just ask all the questions in one go?
Sure. So how does the roundabout solution improve safety for all users?
Yeah, at the same time, having cyclists, pedestrians, and motorists all in the same place.
Sure. And that's an excellent question. So roundabouts are an effective speed management tool. So with the roundabout solution, we can reduce vehicle speeds. In reducing vehicle speeds, it makes it much safer for the pedestrians that are walking along the shoulder of the highway. It also provides availability to install a crossing facility for these pedestrians because we have reduced the vehicle speeds to a point in which it makes it safe for pedestrians to completely cross the highway. The roundabouts and the reduction in the speeds will improve the visibility for the cyclists. It makes it much safer for them to be along motorists on Pacific Coast Highway. And then with that, the reduced vehicle speeds reduces the number of collisions that can occur, and which just improves safety for everyone. Did you want to ask your next question, Brian?
Yes, please. I just wanted to comment that I've lived with roundabouts all my life. I am very, very familiar with them. But there isn't a roundabout I've ever come across in a road like PCH. PCH is a very special situation. It's a highway, and to put a roundabout in the middle of it, I don't see the logic behind it. But I'll ask the next question. How will it improve the homelessness situation, as it will invite more of them to be living on the sides of PCH? We already have a localized problem in East Malibu. What I don't want is for it to spread and become worse or migrate here even.
With the homelessness problem that you touched on, I believe that question was addressed earlier. Travis, would you like to touch on that again?
Yes, as I explained earlier, there will be the restricted parking during the night hours from something we're looking into adding or including with this is the restricted parking at the night hours from 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. for one side and 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. for the opposite side. It's similar to what's in the Zuma Beach area, uh, Corral area, Las Tunas, and various other sections. So that would avoid the overnight camping or parking along PCH.
Thank you, Brian. Brandy, do we have any other individuals with their hands raised that have been patiently waiting?
Rosemary, you had your hand up, but I don't see it now. Rosemary, did you still need to speak? Oh, I think we lost Rosemary. Okay. We have only one additional raised hand. It is Ryan again. And we still have 18 in the chat.
Ryan?
I would like to hear the questions in the chat, and I also do have more questions. I served for 11 years as an appointed official to the city's transportation bodies, and I would like a chance to share with everyone in this meeting setting on the record. I don't think we're running out of time. We're only an hour and 13 minutes into this 2 hour plus meeting. So I think we should continue. And I don't want to use my time to answer questions that are already typed into the chat.
Thank you for the comments, Ryan. Brandy, we can proceed back with the chat.
Okay. So we have Ryan's comment that we left off on. It says, do either of these trial projects use public tax funds assigned to or from the city of Malibu from the state highway demonstration project? Sorry, for this state highway demonstration project.
I believe that goes back to Ryan's earlier question about the funding source for this project, in which we had addressed.
Excellent.
My question is if it was allocated to the city and the city is giving it up to the state highway project in lieu of using it somewhere within the city on our own projects off the highway. Can you please answer it?
Yes, that money was provided to the city to be used on Pacific Coast Highway.
Has it used up any allocation that the city would otherwise be eligible for applying as a project off the highway? Are we using up our allocations?
No.
Okay, next question is from E. Oliver. What is it that looks like? Oh, you know what? You already went through this. This was in the chat. Stand by. Rosemary Sampson, how do you plan to get overnight parking restrictions through Coastal Commission? We'd love to get rid of it. And then she follows up with, then enforce the parking restriction, use state paid personnel.
Thank you for those comments, Rosemary. I do believe Travis has already touched on that, so we can continue, Brandy.
Okay. Let's see. Ryan's question. What other high-speed 55 miles per hour state highways have a roundabout?
I'd like to open this up to CalTrans or anyone from Kimley Horn to discuss.
I can take this on, and Sean or someone from Caltrans can also add. 55 miles per hour state highways or any state highways, it's not common to have roundabouts. But at the same time, those locations do not have the same safety issues that we have that this segment of PCH is experiencing. So this is, as someone said earlier, it's a very special situation where safety has been an extreme concern, and that has really required the city and everybody, all the partners, to kind of really look deep into the toolbox to see what are the effective solutions to bring to the table. And that's one of the reasons why. And it's also a location where Nadia mentioned it's on the west end of the corridor, where the traffic volumes are lower and speeds are significantly higher. So, in essentially trying to improve the safety of this location significantly, I think this solution, among all the experts, including Caltrans and FHWA, this was identified as the appropriate solution to improve safety at these two locations.
Next question. Are crashes within the legal boundaries of each location proposed for roundabouts? What are the total roadway easement width across PCH known as the right-of-way?
Or Shri, if you would like to
Okay.
continue.
Yes, I can. And maybe Sean, you can chime in on the right of way width. But yes, you answer the question. Yes, these collisions within the limits of each of these two locations. So when the accident data or collision data is pulled, the parameters are specifically set on the extent of this, and that's how it's determined. Sean, would you like to comment on the right of way or the easement at this location?
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now to give the
Okay.
answer on that.
Okay.
The right of way is approximately 100 feet in width, and the existing pavement to pavement section is approximately 80 feet in width from edge of pavement to edge of pavement.
Thank you. Brandy, could you read the next question in the chat, please?
Yes. The next question was provided by Steve. Please provide how many homes' driveways are affected.
Steve, could you, if you were in attendance, could you clarify, do you mean homes and driveways off of Pacific Coast Highway?
That's correct. Just in the entire area, how many, especially at the intersections, how many driveways are affected? But again, through the entire stretch, because they're all going to be impacted. And how do they get onto the roadway? I mean, I know how they get on now, but when you now have one lane, is that going to be impeding? Where there's one lane during the two, between the two roundabouts?
I don't know the exact number of all that. We haven't added up all the driveways in between. In a general sense, there will be traffic in one way in each direction. However, the two-way left turn lane will remain for lefts in and lefts out. There's also additional space there to provide access to pull out of the travel way as you are decelerating.
The raised area. Excuse me. on one end, but are they going to be, is there going to be a raised area on both sides? I mean, are people going to spill right into my driveway?
Sean, if you would like to touch on that, or if you are requesting some
Anyone else?
clarification.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand the schematic and how that affects driveways.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain verbally like this. I'm not sure which driveway, is there a particular driveway you're referring to, or
It looks
how we
like
go about?
it looks like the one in the picture.
Not sure which picture.
Okay, if you look at the Encinal Canyon Road schematic, then you have the roundabout, and then if you go to the left, if you're holding it,
Very quickly, Brandy, do you think you could share screen to the Encinal Canyon design exhibit?
Yes, give me just a moment.
Thank you. Ellen, if you could just give us a moment to pull up that schematic.
okay.
Do you remember what page of the PowerPoint, Nadia?
15.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
It's page 7.
Well, I have page 2 that was mailed to me.
Of the presentation. Is it page 17?
It's page 7 on mine. I took a screenshot of it.
Nadia, which
Brandy,
one?
it should be slide number 14.
Thank you. One moment. Let me get it down to that.
And I know that there are plenty of other questions in the chat. So Ellen, after this, if you do have any more questions, we would be happy to set up a meeting with you to go
Okay,
over your
the only other
concerns.
question that wasn't clarified that I had, when Sri talked about 16 accidents, is he talking about both intersections or just Encinal and PCH? Because it seems to me the majority of accidents were at Matador, not at Encinal.
Absolutely. Shri, if you could clarify that in the meantime as Brandy brings up the schematic.
Yeah, so it was it within the entire project limit, so between
Yeah.
both locations and between the segments. So I know maybe I believe you may be asking for specific information on Encinal. We can look for that information and get that to you.
That would be great because it
Yes.
seems to me that most of the accidents were people running across the road from Matador when they had too much to drink on the beach or whatever other reason they were crossing the road when they shouldn't have. They don't do that here at Encinal.
Yeah, we can look for that
There's
breakdown
not
and
any
provide.
parking on the other side of the road.
Okay.
And of course, after Sean addresses this other question of yours, Ellen, if you have other concerns relating to maybe your property specifically, we would be happy to meet with you to go
Great.
over
That would be
your,
wonderful. I would
yes,
appreciate that.
absolutely.
And thank you for all your all answering all the other questions.
Absolutely. Sean, if you wanted to, or Ellen, if you could repeat your question for Sean as the
Yeah,
schematic is up in
this
front
is
of
the
him.
schematic that I have, the one that's on screen now. Do you see where it says, here's the roundabout, the circle, and then it says, it's hard for me to read, solar powered streetlight. There's a driveway. Is that a driveway in between the solar powered street light and the edge of the roundabout?
Yeah, are you referring to the driveway that's directly below where it says Route 1?
Yes.
Yes, there is an opening there for driveway access.
And then how do you, let's say somebody's on a bicycle coming around the roundabout or a car coming about the roundabout, and then they get to this lane. But before they get to that lane, they get to the driveway?
So they would exit the roundabout first, and then shortly afterwards is the driveway access. So the bicycles would rejoin the bicycle lane just to the left of that street light and just to the left of your driveway.
And is the street light in the middle of the road? It looks like this, it doesn't look like the street light is, where is the street light? Is it on somebody's grass?
That's an approximate location of the street light. It was a schematic that was done at this time. So we're still working through where the precise locations of the lights would be. but they would
Okay.
not be isolated into an area that would be unprotected.
Okay.
And
And
then
then,
to quickly note,
yeah.
just as this pilot roundabout project is temporary, the lighting proposed is also temporary. But again, for just the efficiency of time, because we don't have a lot of time, we are reaching 7:30 with only 30 minutes left. We would like to get to other questions.
I would just like to finish this. And so right next to the solar powered light, there's a curved line that goes up in the air. Is there going to be some hard structure there, like hard tarmac? Like on the other side, is what it looks like.
There's curb line there. We're still providing some access and then some drainage. So the curb is placed at strategic locations to reinforce drivers to stay in the lane.
And so you're talking about raised tarmac or
Yes.
raised something, a little
Yes.
cement barricade. Okay.
Brandy, if we could go back to maybe some questions in the chat.
Yes. Let me scroll through it really quick to see who hasn't had a moment to
And then
speak.
very quickly, again, we would just like to reiterate that if we unfortunately are not able to get to everyone's questions today, please reach out to us via the comment form on the city's project webpage. We will be reaching out to everyone with responses to your questions. And again, if we are seeing frequently asked questions, we will be posting them on our project webpage for public viewing. And then if anyone has concerns regarding their property in relation to the roundabouts, please feel free to reach out to myself and/or Assistant Public Works Director Tatiana Holden, and we would be more than happy to meet to discuss.
So our next question, Nadia, comes from Chris Frost. There has been a majority of residents who have asked the city to slow the roll on the west end. This is a great chance to see what we can do. It's a test. Give it a chance. That is from Chris Frost.
Hey, this is
Thank you for those comments, Chris.
Hello?
And then the next comment we have is from Hans Letz.
Public comment. Public comment.
Seems to be a couple hot mics right now. Let me go back. Let me see if I can fix that. Let me see. Okay, let me try that again. So this next comment is from Hans Letz. Is there any other way that Caltrans can legally slow traffic down to 25 miles per hour in this area other than a traffic circle? And that's from Hans Letz from KBOO News. And then I'm going to go back to the top of where I left off on comments.
There.
So the answer to Hans's question is no.
Thank you for that, Lee. Brandy, if you'd like to move on to the next question.
Just give me a moment. I scrolled down to give others a chance. So let me get back up where I was.
Sure thing.
I'm coming back to Ryan. Were both of these roundabout locations identified in the 2015 PCH safety study? I believe you covered that. But the next question says, does this meeting comply with Brown Act requirements to accept public comment statements into the record of this meeting when staff denies or requires comments via city website?
Brandy, if you'd like to touch on
I can touch on that one.
Yes.
We have, in order to reach out to the public and receive as much comments as we possibly can, the statement here in today's meeting about the public comment section on the city's website is just a tool that the city's utilizing to receive as much feedback from the public as it can. It is not part of the Brown Act requirements of this meeting. It's just there to allow not only our residents, but the commuters, the visitors, the tourists that come to this community to provide comment. And it actually feeds into the general public works email account, where the admin team takes all those comments and compiles it for the engineer, not only Nadia, but as well Tatiana and the design engineers who are working on the project, so that they are in constant communication with the public of all the feedback we are receiving. In addition to that feature on the city's website, you can email Nadia directly at any time that you would like to provide Nadia any of those comments. And then you can also set a meeting with Nadia. She's already expressed that in this meeting. If you need some details on these plans that are coming to full design. And as well as Tatiana Holden, who's here on this meeting, she is the Assistant Public Works Director. So I think, Ryan, I answered your question, but if I didn't, by all means, please let me know. Moving on, Brian, you had a few questions in here. I'm not sure if we covered them all. I'll read them off, and if you're satisfied with them, just let us know. Brian, how will this improve safety by inviting more cyclists, pedestrians, and motorists to use one lane instead of two? How will this improve the homeless problem, as this will invite them to come more? How will this improve traffic jams going from 2 lanes to a single lane? How will this help evacuations and fire incidents, as was evident in the Pacific Palisades where there was no single lanes? And then lastly, how can this help pedestrian safety, as motorists and cyclists will be in the same lane on a major highway? And if we covered it all, Brian, I will move on.
So a few of those questions we have covered. There is one that I don't think Brian had the chance to ask verbally, but it is the number 3 question of how will this improve traffic jams going from 2 lanes to a single lane? Something that Shri had mentioned earlier is the volume of vehicles in the west end segment of Pacific Coast Highway is quite small. And due to that, it is not at a volume at which the highway would be considered congestion. So as far as traffic delays, we're not concerned with creating the delays, performing that lane drop of 2 lanes down to a single lane. And Shri, if you wanted to touch more on that, you may.
I think you covered it well. I just want to add, we also did a very thorough analysis based on traffic volumes that are available at both these locations and confirmed that bringing the highway down to 1 lane and a 1-lane roundabout and the 1-lane cross section between the roundabouts sufficiently provides for the travel capacity.
Thank you, Shri. Brandy, if we can move on to the next question, please and thank you.
No problem. We have another question here from Ryan. It says, Sean Hawk, you stated all 4 bicycle facility lanes terminate at the perimeter of each roundabout. So creating discontinuous bicycle facilities is not a safety improvement. If continuous bicycle lanes as alternative do not force bicyclists into the travel space. Hope I captured that right, Ryan. And that was to Sean.
Yeah, so the lanes merge, the bicycle lane drops, it merges into a single lane, and there are sharrows provided. So it is a continuation through the intersection for bicycles to share the lane and travel as they exit the roundabout shortly after the crosswalk, or approximately 50 feet or so. The bicycle lane resumes.
We can move on to the next question, Brandy.
So the next one comes from Heidi. How does the design incorporate residents from Cuesta del Sol, which is not a driveway off of Insnell Canyon? It is a road with 8 homes. Access onto the roundabout with a question mark. According to your schematic, it is about where the pedestrian crossing is designated.
Shuri and Sean, if you would like to touch on that.
Yeah, so if I'm understanding it correctly, there is access space between the existing edge of pavement where the driveways are, and there's about a 20-foot wide area, I believe, where there is access prior to the roundabout and at the roundabout. There would be consideration of there is a mix area there, but it would only be used for access to the driveways. I think there's trash access is provided, as well as I believe mail access.
Nadia, something I would like to add to that as well. Where they're describing is actually on Encinal Canyon Road, just up from PCH. If I'm understanding the question correctly. And on the diagram, it does show a raised median there with a little crosswalk section there. Again, this is conceptual drawing, but access coming out of Puesta del Sol will not be impacted and will still be able to have access to either head north on Encinal or to go around the median to be able to go towards PCH.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification, Travis.
Yeah, and my apologies on it. There may be a second driveway there that's closer to where that indicated. That's the pull-out area for the maintenance of that station that's there. So the existing residential driveway won't be blocked by the island.
If you could go to the next question, please, Brandy.
No problem. So we have
excuse me, this is Heidi. Excuse me. Can you just clarify how the people are supposed to get from Puerto del Sol onto Encinal? Because right now it really is right there by that maintenance station, as you called it. So coming onto there doesn't leave a lot of room to navigate where you have the crosswalk as well.
Travis, if you're able to touch on that, given you know the location.
Yeah, I can touch on it. Again, the drawing is conceptual. It's not exact. And so it's kind of showing it in that area, but I don't think pulling measurements, kind of rough measurements off our maps right now, there's no problem going up Puesta del Sol and coming out, it will be just before the crosswalk area.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Brandy, if you could go to the next question.
Yes. So we have a question from Bill. Why was Encinal chosen instead of a far more dangerous intersection like Broad Beach, the West End at PCH?
Sure. So these two intersection segments were chosen given the unsafe speeds in this region. Encinal Canyon also serves as a connector road to other highways in which the turning movements out of Encinal and onto Pacific Coast Highway have served as problems. And we do hope that after the end of this pilot project and as we assess it, that if it is a successful solution, we could evaluate it as a solution for other intersections on Pacific Coast Highway in the future. Next question, please.
Yes, the next question is from Ryan again. It says Metro previously denied and canceled the PCH bicycle lane project in 1996 because it proposed a discontinuous bike lane at the Bel Air Bay Club landslide, which remains today. How does creating two brakes and bicycle lanes acceptable all of a sudden because of this test project?
Sure. Shri, if you would like to touch on that question.
Yeah, so just to clarify, let me just review the question.
I can handle, or I can add to this a bit.
Yeah, go ahead, Sean. Yeah.
Where we drop the bicycle lane, and the bicycle lane is merging into the travel lane. As we define what the intersection is for a roundabout and compare that to other more traditional intersections, that lane drop falls within the definition of the roundabout intersection. And so that would be the equivalent of continuing a bike lane striping through a traditional intersection, which we don't do. That's just not standard practice to continue bike lanes through intersections. So it isn't viewed as a discontinuous lane. It's providing access. It still provides access. It provides safe access for cyclists to merge together, and it's suitable for this type of size and type of roundabout that we're contemplating here.
Thank you, Sean. Brandy, if we could move on to the next question.
Next question is again from Ryan. It says the yellow advisory speed of 15 miles per hour is not legally enforceable. Is the true speed limit the proposed 25 miles per hour black on right regulatory speed?
Yeah. You want me to answer that, Nadia?
Yes, go ahead, Sri.
Okay. And Sean, feel free to add. That is correct. The 25 miles per hour is the regulatory and the 15 is warning. So the 15 miles per hour is not enforceable. That's advisory for vehicles as they're navigating the roundabout. But the features of the roundabout as you approach allows and ensures that the vehicles slow down as you approach the roundabout. And that's what the design, the way the roundabout is designed, that's the intent, to slow down the vehicle. So the regulatory speeds, alerts the drivers to slow down as you approach the roundabout, and the design of the roundabout with all the raised islands throughout allows the vehicles to really slow down as you navigate through the roundabout. So it's accomplished in two different ways. Sean, I know you could probably provide more context to this.
Yeah, the advisory, the warning speed of 15 miles an hour is consistent with safe operating speeds through the roundabout, and that's why it's provided. Those are speeds that are typical operating speeds for the majority of traffic as they operate through similar type of roundabouts. And as you need to, as a driver, yield to other vehicles, and when there's decision points are being made, that's consistent with that speed. So it is a warning to drivers to slow to those speeds, that those speeds are coming up, and that a change in direction is necessary and to navigate the roundabouts.
And then very quickly, I would like to note that we have approximately 15 minutes left in the meeting, and I know that there are several questions. So I just want to quickly remind everyone, if we unfortunately have not been able to get to your question today, please visit www.malibucity.org/roundabouts and submit your questions there. We will be reaching out to you, or please feel free to reach out to me directly, and we will be getting back to you with a response to your question if we are not able to address it tonight in the next 15 minutes. So with that, Brandy, I'll ask that you continue with the next question.
Yes, we have, I think, about 20 more questions, Nadia.
So we will do our best, but like I said, if we are unfortunately not able to get to everyone, please reach out to us. Thank you, Brandy, for noting that.
No problem. I'm going to go back to Hans's question. I know Lee answered it, but Hans is asking for him to expand a little bit on his answer. So Lee, I'm going to re-ask the question, but Hans is looking for an expanded answer. Is there any other way that Caltrans can legally slow traffic down to 25 miles per hour in this area other than a traffic circle?
So the roundabout and the necessary lane drops, as Sean has explained, give us a basis for bringing the speed limit down. As Shri explained, the 15 mile per hour sign is a warning sign for navigating the roundabout. What we have to deal with, Hans, is the 85th percentile requirement for the speed limit setting. We've explained this before. If you take 100 cars, 85th percentile is what the 85th highest speed car would be. We're able to take very minor reductions after some rounding, depending upon which rounding mechanism we take. So no, that we have to use that method, and that's what we're limited to.
Thank you, Lee. I'm going to come back up to Ryan's next question. Is devaluation of the beachfront undeveloped residential lot on PCH at Encino Canyon eligible for funding if it can no longer have a main plus service driveway? How many public parking space reductions from PCH do these two roundabouts cause?
So to the second question of how many public parking space reductions from PCH do these two roundabout cause? So I would like to remind everyone that in this project segment, from El Matador to past Encino Canyon, it is a no parking zone on both sides of the highway. So legally, you cannot park on either sides of Pacific Coast Highway. This project would temporarily provide parking. So there is no reduction. We are improving the parking in this area. And then for the first question of is devaluation of the beachfront undeveloped residential lot on PCH at Encino eligible for funding? I'm unsure what the question is referencing, Ryan, as this pilot program is developing a roundabout within the bounds of the existing pavement surface. We are not going outside of those bounds. If you would like to clarify the question.
Is the right of way 100 feet? Did I hear the answer correctly from Sean, I think earlier, that there's 100-foot right of way, but there's currently only 80 feet of pavement and you're staying within that and you're not reclaiming the extra 10 feet from either side of the highway for this public use as a roundabout? And would that be considered in the future if there was a permanent roundabout to be considered after this one's removed? Or these ones both are removed. And I had a follow-up question about stop signs, is if currently there are none proposed here for entry prior to going into the roundabout. Would stop signs ever be considered or eligible on any of the legs of a roundabout? And I note that El Matador Beach has no publicly intersecting street. I don't know how you could compare it or consider it as a roundabout. It's just an impediment in the middle of the highway. But the stop sign thing is critical, because if you're going to put up stop signs, we don't need a roundabout. Just put up stop signs and we'll be done with it. We'll save all the money. Thank you.
John, touch on
yeah,
some of the
I can address. So by definition, a roundabout is yield control. It is not stop control. There will be no stop signs at the roundabouts. It is a yield controlled intersection.
And then again, to reiterate, we are staying within the bounds of the existing roadway surface. We are not going outside. Brandy, if we could move on to any more questions for our remaining 9 minutes.
I'm sorry.
I believe they're all Ryan's questions at this point.
Could I have the follow-up? Could we not reduce down to just 2 lanes if we use the extra 10 feet on either side, the full 100-foot width of the highway? Then we wouldn't need to narrow down to just 1 lane, which is a choke point for evacuation and other purposes through this created public infrastructure.
Thank you for that. Given the nature of this project being a quick build project and a pilot project, we are looking to minimize as much disturbance and stay within the existing roadway surface just to study the roundabout solution. As we assess this solution post-construction and through the pilot duration, if we have been successfully able to achieve the goals we had set out of improving safety, accessibility, and the operations of Pacific Coast Highway, a permanent solution and the nature of that permanent solution will be evaluated, including that of a potential two-lane roundabout, but that would be done at a future date.
How could that be possible to evaluate a two-lane and then consider changing it to a four-lane after you've studied a temporary project? They're completely different.
First, we are trying to understand if the roundabout solution is a successful solution for Pacific Coast Highway. And of course, with further studies and analyses, that would be done at a future time. But for the purposes of this pilot and staying within the bounds of the existing roadway surface, we are constructing a one-lane roundabout.
So, Nadia, if I can maybe quickly also add, the right-of-way needed for, if I understand the question correctly, the right-of-way needed for a two-lane roundabout is significantly larger. And I think even to fit in a single-lane roundabout was extremely tight. So a two-lane roundabout, I know it appears like we can fit it in, but there's a lot of geometric features that need to be incorporated to, I think Sean identified how we need to kind of slow people down, the entry and exit speeds. There's a lot of factors that go into it. So two-lane roundabout, as the size of it is significantly larger and will not fit in within the available right-of-way.
Thank you, Shri, for adding that commentary. Brandy, do you see any questions? Lee, very quickly, I see your hand raised. Did you want to add?
I did. This has been really a good meeting. I want to add a couple things that I've observed in the work with Sean and Shri at Kimley-Horn. For residents that are concerned, I can tell you that when we first met with the team in May, they are already very cognizant of the restrictions on this project. We needed to stay within the pavement bounds given the environmental situation out there. If we went to a larger footprint, we would not be able to deliver a project. We would have to go to a much higher environmental document. The dropping of the lane was closely considered by everyone, and the team has carefully looked at all the driveways and efforts to provide access. From that first meeting, I could tell the team was oriented. They've done extensive work looking at multiple guidance documents. Specifically, there were about 3 different criteria for the design, and they're working to come up with an overall good design that's effective to pull speeds down. They've looked carefully at the bicycle lane configuration and the pedestrian. We've been working through this extensively, and I've seen the team working hard. And I just wanted to share that with the community because I understand there's a lot of trepidation, especially with it being a 55-mile-an-hour route. State of California, we are looking at low-cost roundabouts that are smaller in diameter. The team at Kimley-Horn has put something very good together to meet the constraints of this project, and I want to bring that up for everybody to know that they've really been looking at the details. We are doing more roundabouts on high-speed facilities. I'm sure Sean, with his experience and knowledge working with TRB, Transportation Research Board, could provide information on that. State of California has done several on high-speed roads. I'm aware of some up in Truckee near Interstate 80 on State Route 89. We have others elsewhere within the state, and we're also having interface with Federal Highway Administration for knowledge transfer on a national basis. We're aware that state of Washington and some other states are pursuing roundabouts on higher speed facilities. I myself went through some over Labor Day weekend going between Kansas City Airport and Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. 2-lane high-speed road, another 2-lane road coming into it at an angle. It was a single-lane roundabout. People figured out how to navigate it, and they were slowing down. And I've been through multiple roundabouts on higher speed facilities in Ireland on a recent vacation. So these are a measure that is out there and is being used more and more. So I just wanted to lay these features out for the community to have awareness and consideration of. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee, for those comments. And I do think with that, that is the perfect way to end today's meeting. I want to thank you all for attending. We do hope that this was quite informational for you all. And again, we do want to hear your feedback throughout the course of this project. And we do hope to continue our meetings and informationals and our outreach. We will be planning an in-person community meeting for the Pacific Coast Highway Quick Build Roundabouts project in the month of November. Again, that date is to be determined. It will be advertised and released publicly. Again, additional notification letters will be going out, and I want to inform everyone that we do anticipate going to Planning Commission in December. With that, if we have not been able to get to your questions tonight, please feel free to reach out to us via the comment form or email me directly. And then again, if you would like to join us in November, we would be happy to see you all there. I want to thank the CalTrans team for being here tonight. I want to thank the city team. And then, of course, I want to thank all the members of the public who joined us today. So with that, this
Thank you,
meeting
Nadia, for
is
a
adjourned.
great meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
I just wanted to participation.
Thank you, Tatiana. I just wanted to tell everybody, this is Brandy here. I put the M Public Works email address in the chat. If anybody wanted to jot that down for any additional correspondence that they want to submit regarding this project. We did mention the city's website, the project page where you can submit comments. But if you wanted to, I know, Ryan, you had quite a few comments that I couldn't get to. So if you just want to shoot that email right over, we'll make sure that it gets into a list of comments that we already have, we're keeping track of. Elaine, if you don't, I think, Oliver, I think your first name was Elaine. I put it in the chat. If you don't see it, I can reach out to you directly if you would like.
Can you do that? Because I don't see it in the chat.
Sure, I'll do it one more time. It'll come
Okay.
from myself,
Okay.
Brandy Ayala.
And it's Ellen. Also, I'd like Nadia's
Ellen.
email.
No problem. It'll go right into the chat for everyone's use.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, MOU. Oh, Malibu Public Works.
Yes, ma'am. We keep track of all the comments coming in for this project. And there's Nadia's
So thank
as
you
well.
again, everyone, for joining. This meeting is now at a close, and we hope to see you all in November.